Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Bi-Weekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
I will call to order the February 11th, 2026 Rec Advisory meeting. I have to take a roll call, I forget. Oh, introductions. We'll start with introductions. Bob, if you want to start down there.
Sure. Bob Dudra, member.
Stephanie Papakosendis, member.
Nick Norton, Vice Chair.
Jen Harrington, Chair.
Mike Whistler, member.
Bryn Sullivan, member.
Dan Provost, member.
Caroline Neal, Recreation Coordinator.
David Tovey, Assistant Director.
And Greg Beeson, Exeter Parks and Rec Director.
And Nancy Belanger, Select Board Representative.
Excellent. I don't see anybody here from the public for public comment, but we're always open to have public come down and share their thoughts. We will skip over the minutes approval, and we'll hold off for the next meeting on that one. And then we will open the financial sustainability workshop.
Well, thank you. I gotta give kudos to Caroline and David. They've been working tirelessly on this, so we're interested to get your feedback as well. But so we're gonna go into a little description of how the department runs, and then we're going to go over overhead costs, defining cost recovery, how to subsidize, and fee structures and pricing. So in January's packet and the packets in front of you, you'll see budgets. We have in Parks and Rec multiple budgets that we draw funds from. First and foremost is our general fund budget, which comprises of the 6 full-timers, and we've broken it down for you. And operational costs such as FICA, retirement, dues, postage, supplies, senior services, which is funded, our part-time senior coordinator, and all of our parks operations. You'll see as we go through, we have grown gradually over the last several years, not only because we've actually we've increased, we've been here a long time, and we have staff and personnel that have changed their health benefits. So that's the big driver, and that's the synopsis, short explanation on it. But the most valuable one is our rec revolving fund. Obviously, our rec revolving fund is the heartbeat of our budget. That allows us to program, when we started the rec revolving fund over a decade ago, it's been so long we've had it, the programming fees and costs were all in the general fund budget. We went to the select board and we asked permission, and it went to vote to establish a recreation revolving fund. The recreation revolving fund then allowed us the flexibility to add programs. When it was in the general fund budget, we did not have that flexibility. We had to do a plan a year in advance if we wanted to add new programming. So that was the constraint on that. If you notice, in our rec revolving fund, obviously we have our buckets of concession stand, pool, program revenue, special events, swimming program, donations and grants, sponsorship revenue, but we also pay a lot of out there, and we'll go into that further. Part-time salaries obviously is a big thing for our seasonals. Overtime, we have conferences, dues, equipment supplies, mobile communications, food supplies, pool supplies, public safety details, software, special events, and our capital outlay. And then we also have our park improvement fund, which this year we've taken a year off, as you know. That has helped chip away at the maintenance of and improvements of the park. And then we have recreation impact fees. So to remind everyone, recreation impact fees are derived from when a unit or a housing unit goes into existence and they issue a building permit. We get $1,000 and $1,004 per unit. That goes into the rec impact fees to enable us to offer recreational opportunities. Those do have a cap limit on it of 7 years. Yeah. If we don't expend them within 7 years, they expire and they go back to the developer. So we're always going to stay on top of that. And then other revenue sources, obviously, we've been very fortunate, and David and Caroline, grants, donations, and then that's about it for our different pools of money that we have. So I can go into further details if you have questions on the budget. We will be reviewing the budget again in the next meeting, and I am going to ask us, we meet, add an extra meeting to review the budget before I submit it to the town manager's office this summer. So, any questions so far? Because that's only the brief. It's really what we're going to discuss further is what we're here for, is knowing where we're going. So I'm going to pass it over to Dave.
So I do have one question. So what is your total budget then for the recreation department? I mean, you have a general rec. So what's like a bottom figure?
Are you asking for like the general fund?
General
bottom?
fund and the revolving fund, I think he's asking.
Yeah,
Okay.
a total.
Bob, let me total that up for you.
That's fine. Okay. Just curious.
If you need a calculator.
I'd say it's like just under 900,000 for the general fund if you include the,
No, it's more than that.
yeah. It's about 3 cents per tax dollar is what we calculated for the general fund.
Yep. Good question, Bob. Yes.
Because the revolving budget doesn't have a taxpayer impact.
Correct.
Correct. if you combine the rec revolving fund and the general fund budget, preliminary budget for 2026, it's 1.4 million.
Okay, thank you.
You want-
I have one more question on the impact fee revenue. 2026, any projections on that?
That's the tough part on that one, Mike, is to kind of guess what's coming in. Doug Eastman, our building inspector, has a better understanding of what's coming in. Like, for instance, usually we don't receive the impact fees until, as Doug explained to me, they issue a CO. So the development you see behind the Thirsty Moose, obviously we haven't received those. The Gateway and Epping Road, we actually obviously haven't seen those either. So it's hard to, but I mean, you drive around this town and it seems there's a lot of development. So last couple years, several years ago, I'll give you a good example. When Acadia Lane was built, we got a large influx of about $130,000. So obviously with these developments coming up, there is a chunk of change that will come in, and we'll talk about where we could apply those because we have big expenses coming up in some projects.
So year to date, 2025 was 14,000.
Yeah.
So 2026, I would guess, would be at least that,
Yeah.
as a guess, anyway.
And 2025, actually, I think in total, it was probably closer to $50,000-$60,000 in impact fees.
Thanks.
Yep.
Is that 10,004 number a state standard, a federal standard? Is that Exeter? Is that?
That actually was suggested by, there was a consultant the town paid to come in and the assistant town manager, Melissa Roy, may know better about this, but I believe it was his recommendation that should be the impact fee. Yeah.
But that's something that you all or the town negotiated with developers? That's not something that, like, say, Portsmouth, Newmarket, neighboring towns have a different number, or?
That is something that I believe was voted in.
I am not.
Yeah.
I believe that's part of the zoning regs of Exeter.
No, she's coming in. Thank you, Melissa.
I'm not 100% sure about the actual dollar amount. Being similar, one of the issues that we have is when a developer comes in, they can ask for things to be waived. What we've seen previously is 55 and older communities. They'll put in a clubhouse and they want us to waive the recreation fees. So one of the things we've been talking about is educating the planning board that although there is a clubhouse in the development, they're actually participating in our active adult programming. So we'd like to see that not waived as much, but we do have a lot of developers that ask for it to be waived. So it's not the same for every project.
That was my question.
Sorry.
Thank you, Melissa.
I have one other question. Does the rec department get impact fees on commercial development too, or just on residential?
Just on residential.
Are there thoughts maybe on commercial? I'm thinking like the Gateway project or?
Well, the Gateway is going to have 200 plus units, so.
The idea essentially is that new families into town are impacting your costs because they're using your programs, so it would make sense. But if it can be waived, or if it is in some ways variable, you can't just go and put a sticky note like, as soon as those are done, here comes 100,000. This is essentially what I'm getting at. Like, that's kind of like, in the couch cushion money.
Correct. But at the same time, there is a process they go through with the planning board, and it's early in the process. They ask for those to be waived.
Okay.
And Nancy probably could, she sits on the planning board.
It's up to the board to vote on them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand in the past, especially when we're having 55 and older, the clubhouses, Melissa had suggested, they waived it because of that, and I think the thought has changed a little bit on that because it doesn't prevent them from using the facilities.
Right.
Right? So there's always flexibility, I guess.
And one thing I will say is we did for 2026 give an estimate of a pretty significant reduction in our revenues because our building and planning department isn't seeing as many applications coming through. We've had really, really high years, the last 2 years, something upwards of like 600, 700,000, and we're projecting like 350,000 somewhere in there. So to Greg's point, there are some in the pipeline that might get completed, but we do think that there's going to be a reduction coming. The other piece is there's a piece of legislation that also allows towns to start charging an impact fee for the construction of public works facilities. And so I think we're going to see the planning department and the select board start to take that up in the next year, but that won't take away from the recreation impact fees. It would just be another impact fee that the developer would have to pay.
Greg, on this revenue budget for your revolving fund, am I missing, where, do you bring in any fees associated with field rentals?
Oh, yes. That would fall under, I'm sorry, these are all the buckets. It'd probably fall under rec programs.
Okay. Yeah, that's just,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's broad.
Yeah. We have a
Spectrum,
lot
okay.
of subcategories in that rec.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right, so moving on to overhead costs. So one of the reasons that we're doing this exercise is because, well, a few reasons. We've moved into a new building, so we have more overhead costs there. Our department is growing. We've hired a senior coordinator, part-time senior coordinator recently. We now have a second van. So not only are we growing, but we're also incurring more overhead costs. One of them with the new building is potentially hiring a part-time custodian slash building supervisor. So we're listing all these out for you all to kind of start thinking about why this all kind of goes back into like where we're investing grant money, sponsorships, or taxpayer money into programs and how we set fees for certain programs, because we do need to make a profit on programs. I say that with a pause because maybe not every program is going to be a massive money generator, but some of them, and we'll get into that later, are very special to us and important to us because we do need to cover these overhead costs. So things like a custodian that will help keep our nice new building clean and maintained for all the users. We have a lot of foot traffic coming in, and that's only going to increase. So how do we make sure that building is well kept? Building maintenance. Now, DPW does have some money in their budget to help maintain our facilities, like all town facilities, but we are also, excuse me. But we are also responsible for some of that building maintenance. Department cell phones. We all have work cell phones. That is one of our overhead costs for our department. Again, building maintenance down at the Dan Healy Pool. Repair and maintenance of equipment when related to, field painting. We have those, we have our field painting robot. We have our robot mowers. Those things do require maintenance and repair. And for the field liner, yes, that does get rented, and that is helping to pay for itself. And the robot mowers are helping us save money as well. But again, more overhead costs here. Irrigation and the water fountains that are around town throughout the parks. We do pay for that water that come out of those. So again, these are overhead costs that aren't directly tied to a program. Those would be program expenses that we'll get into later. Storage containers. We have some storage containers that are holding things like program equipment or mowers. We have, I believe our kayaks are in there. We have a lot of larger equipment that are being facilitated in those containers. Our parks crew, Although they have a garage at 10 Hampton, it is not nearly as big as the one that was at 32 Court Street, so those storage containers are helping us with that transition for the time being as well. Staff training and professional development, that also comes out of the rec revolving. So again, another overhead cost that programs and special events that make a profit help pay for. Our software, so we use RecDesk as our registration software. We also use other software like Canva and MailChimp, Adobe, Productive Parks, all of which are paid out of the rec revolving fund. Marketing, we use Canva, or if we're ever printing, printing also comes out of our rec revolving fund. So there's a lot, part-time staff. Currently, the part-time senior coordinator, so 20% of their salary is covered through the Exeter Hospital grant, which is great. But again, that hospital grant isn't guaranteed to last forever. We are in year 2. We've been awarded it in a second year. We don't know if there's going to be a third or however long that's going to go. So looking forward. 20% out of the grant, 40% out of the general fund, and then the other 40% out of the rec revolving. So moving forward, could that be a 50-50? How is that going to look in the future? So we've already started, pricing trips and senior programs and stuff to help recover the costs out of the rec revolving for that staff person. Our interns that are a huge help for us in the summertime, they are also covered through the rec revolving. Our vehicle and equipment lease, that new the accessible minibus that we purchased, that is a lease that's, is that 50%?
50-50.
50-50 general fund, rec revolving. So again, trying to recuperate costs for that. The robot mowers and the painting robot, as I mentioned earlier. Scholarships. So we do, for things like camp, we go out and solicit businesses and other donors that help pay for campers to go to camp, but we also give scholarships for youth programs that we run either in-house. We also do swim passes for families that have the RUN pass or youth that have the RUN pass. So we do a lot with that. Printing, as I mentioned earlier, trash removal, porta potties, community events like the Halloween event or the egg hunt. Those are all fully funded through our rec revolving fund as well. And then park improvements too. If we're ever doing court repairs or court lining, anything within our parks that we aren't using either park improvement funds or some other fund to help pay for those.
And you could almost say they're partially associated with the program, but not a direct cost. For instance, we have sod in there. Last year was the first year we replaced the gold mouse and throughout the whole rec park with sod. That way, it was never going to grow back because, as we know, we use soccer. They just sit there and they dig and they dig and they dig. So that's the only way to improve it is to replace it with sod. So not a cost of the program, but indirectly, that's why we picked it up that way.
So as we move into our exercise where we're going to be looking at service categories, we wanted to talk a little bit more about our fee structures and define cost recovery. So there's just a few terms that I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page for. So when we talk about full cost of service, we talk about the estimated total cost of a program, inclusive of direct labor, services, supplies, expenses, and associated overhead costs. When we talk about cost recovery, it's the amount of a program's full cost of service that is supported by the program's own fee revenue. And a subsidy would be the amount of a program's full cost of service that is supported by another agency revenue source, for instance, the general fund or a grant. When we talk about cost recovery pricing, we're looking at setting our prices to cover all of our costs of providing a service or product, aiming to recuperate expenses before any profit is made. And the goal here is to ensure financial viability and sustainability by avoiding subsidies from the general fund. Do we have any questions so far?
I have a question. So, you often have sponsors, like on the back of the shirt. Is that considered a subsidy? Where does that fit in, the money from that?
That comes into our rec revolving fund, but yes, we do consider that like a subsidy. It's we could like a grant or a sponsorship.
Okay, thank you.
That helps offset the cost of the program.
Thank you.
I have a question going back to Dave's recap of current costs. So we pay for irrigation water? The rec board
At
does?
the rec park, we have a well, so we're not paying for that water, but in other parks, for irrigation as well as like those
Yes.
drinking fountains, yes.
Like, we pay for that because, as you all know, the water sewer rate payers, we're just a rate payer just like everyone else. So even these municipal buildings, we get a water bill. So it's,
I was curious on that. And the other one on that, I'll be quick, was software. I would think the town has like subscriptions to Adobe, and does the rec department pay separate subscriptions for that software?
we have gone above and beyond what the IT has because we use it so often.
Okay.
Like editing PDFs, combining PDFs. I mean, we could get the basic Adobe, but I mean, we go the step above
Okay.
just for us to use.
Yeah, as do I. So,
Yep.
Thank you.
Since he went back, I just have a quick question about the custodian building. I understand the building supervisor, and I recognize that the new building is larger than Court Street. Did you previously pay for custodial services at Court Street?
No, that was, we had a very minimal custodian at Court Street. He was budgeted for about approximately 2.5 hours a day, but between us and the senior center. So we're looking obviously for a little more robust because it's more square footage. And what we're looking at doing the building supervisors too, as we progress and get more and more night programs and have someone there.
Right, yeah.
It could double duty, like you can clean and you can be in the building at the same time.
Okay, so adding the custodian, so you're losing, like it was previously paid by a different fund?
DPW. Yeah,
And they're no longer supporting even a portion of that?
correct. Yep. But it was a tight budget year and that we were looking at inventive ways to reduce the budget. So that's one of the ways that we came up with.
Yeah, I have one further thing to follow up on Mike's. I'm surprised that the rec department gets dinged for trash removal. Wouldn't that be a
Well,
town-wide?
I'll go into a little more detail for that. Trash removal, so we've always had a dumpster at 4 Hampton Road. We are able to, under the town contract, we're able to transfer that dumpster to 10 Hampton Road because obviously we're there more. So when we say trash removal, we're gonna bring in a seasonal dumpster for when the pool operation is open so we can, without burdening the taxpayers, because we only need it for 4 or 5 months. So very minimal cost, it's not, but it still is a cost, that's why we wanted to include it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can I just add one thing? Just so you're with the budget, the reason why we have these books, every line item, it's really for transparency, so we actually see where every penny, dollar is spent. So water and sewer is spread out, or put with each department that uses it. Postage, we have postage and different departments use it, so different departments are gonna have a postage line item.
Just a brief question, I guess, taking a step back, and I might be getting ahead of myself here in terms of what we're getting to with the exercise. And I do have to say, looking at the detail of the overhead costs and all the printouts, really helpful to look at the size and the scope of everything that this department is shouldering. Can you tell us, in a vast overview, about the process when you look at budgeting for a year? Because obviously you have fixed cost and variable cost, and then it was interesting to learn about the impact fees, about how variable those can be. So are you basically plugging this into a software to get your best faith estimate of what your potential costs are going to be versus your potential revenue to see if you have an overflow or a shortfall? Because I just want to get a good idea of how this board can best help as we go through line items as to how's it looking for this year? Is there a substantial deficit, or, kind of, because obviously with the taking a pause on the revolving fund. So I just, without getting into too much detail, how would you describe that?
We do not have a software. We do our projections. Typically, the town manager's office provides directions for the general fund budget. So we kind of go with what they're dictating. Obviously, in a tight budget year like we've had, we knew right away as a department, like, we need to come in at zero growth besides our personnel, which is totally out of our hands. Like, we had a change in personnel, obviously change in benefits, which drives that cost, but the rest of our lines were zero. In typical fashion, we try to balance it. Obviously, I'll take the general fund, keep that as an example, is contractual services. We've been very fortunate to have contractors that, if they increase, it's minimal, but at the same time, we go back at them like, hey, where can we save? For instance, and I'll use a contractor mowers for an example. We send out an RFP and we post it on the website, and people can put in, and we basically look at a la carte, like, what can we afford, knowing that we need to do more, because like fertilization, irrigation, those are a lot more of a set cost, but mowing, depending on the price, may change from year to year or vendor to vendor. So that way, then we look at it like, obviously we don't want to overspend that line, so we may be able to have a contractor take more properties. That last year we were fortunate, we had our contractor for mowing came in very reasonable, and he was able to handle more of the bulk of the mowing.
And then you have staff make up the difference?
Then the staff makes up the difference, and the robots make up the big difference. Remember, the robots save our staff people 14 hours a week of just mowing those 2 athletic fields.
So if I understand it correctly, it's not as much looking at the annual budget and saying, wow, we have the shortfall, we need to make it up by looking at cutting certain areas. It's more looking holistically, like, where can we be cost conscious in certain areas, and at the end the total sum will add up, and we've done the best we can to save the department some money, so at the end hopefully the revenue exceeds the costs.
And we have been very fortunate. The only last several years, last year was an aberration because we spent a lot out of the revolving fund. And we had planned that because we've been saving for it for the building. So we knew that. Previous to that, the only year the revolving funds ever lost money was COVID.
Okay, that's good historical.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
So, but and then we'll break it down even further, but that's why when we look at every single program, David and Caroline are like, all right, here's the cost. What do we need to break even or make a little bit of money to go towards the minibus or the senior coordinator, things like that. So that's where the revolving fund it gives us that flexibility, where again, if it was in the general fund and then this got absorbed in the general fund revenue, we're stuck, we're not adding programs. So we do look at our year to date. Like, one of the things we look at is like, all right, we generated this much revenue this year. What's our goal? Like, do we want to keep growing? Obviously, the possibilities are endless with the 10 Hampton Road, because we have all this programming space. And I was just telling someone in a meeting prior to this, we were chatting, and I'm like, just yesterday we had 3 of the rooms full of programs, different programs, different like people all around, just coming in, enjoying it. So that's why we're doing this whole process, because obviously we need to really kind of come down to decide what's very cheap and free, or what do we.
That context is really helpful. I appreciate that. That's great. Thanks.
Right.
Yeah. Just to give you guys a little bit more detail too on how do we subsidize certain programs or events and things like that. Just listing it out. So touched on this a little bit earlier, youth program scholarships. So how do we subsidize for those scholarships? Mainly it is through sponsorships, especially with our summer camps, sponsorships and donations, as well as rec revolving a little bit as well. Senior programs, lately it has been a lot on the grants as well as sponsorships. And then we do have, is it 5,000 in the general fund, I believe, for senior programs. So we started that.
I think Melissa was still with
Yeah,
us.
I think you were still
Yes.
2021, maybe right around there. So we started that. We would have resident rates is really kind of when we started implementing the resident versus non-resident rate on things like trips, which are very popular, chair yoga, things like that for older adults that live in Exeter, get a little bit of a discount. And then rec revolving as well. Parks and open spaces, general funds help subsidize, maintaining those open spaces, as well as we do well with sponsorships, park sponsorships, and then if there's any gaps that need to be filled, again, rec revolving.
Park improvement.
Park improvement, LWCF. We've been fortunate to be recipients of that grant as well. Planet Playground, we're still working through that, but the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, subsidizing parks and open spaces. The pool through sponsorships, as well as the rec revolving. And then community events, as I mentioned earlier, general fund, sponsorships, rec revolving. So those are some of what we subsidize and how we subsidize to give you all a better picture.
So I broke down an example for you all. It's in your packet as well of just our fall 25 soccer cost of service. So as we consider our pricing structures and where we're kind of going for cost recovery, this is how I budget. So looking at all of our different expenses, from coach background checks to our equipment, to our uniforms, to our coaching gifts, to staff time and field maintenance, to kind of come up with that total cost. And then looking at the revenues that we've brought in, doing our profit loss. So we were able to bring in some money. Our youth programs do pretty well. And then I broke it down to a cost per player, so a direct cost per player. And then that's just the true cost of the program divided by the number of players. And then I kind of set my resident and non-resident rates. And this soccer program operates at about 140% cost recovery. I will say most of my youth programs, if not all, operate at least 100% cost recovery. If it's not going to break even, I generally don't run a program. There's a few things that we do run that are completely free, but most of our programs, in order to run, have to break even.
And keep in mind, when you see the profit loss, think back to that overhead costs. Little bits of each of the program are going to cover those.
Right,
fees.
sod for the fields,
Yeah.
paint for the mowers, maintenance on the mowers.
Professional development.
Correct.
For us to keep up, so.
Yeah, and we were fortunate to have an awesome intern this summer, fall that helped a lot with soccer as well. And And something else that it doesn't really apply to this program per se, but something that we do consider when we're pricing out programs is, does this program take away a resource from the community, especially during peak hours? So, for instance, if we had a swim team and we were to practice like in the middle of the day in the summer, that would kind of take away a resource from the community. Any kind of court programming in the evenings, that's a peak hour usage. So something that we consider that we would want to then price it a little bit more, as it is taking away a resource from the community. What questions do we have?
So, how would soccer compare to the basketball program or T-ball?
Sure.
Similar.
And we're trying to like align. I would, in a perfect world, have all of my youth sports operate at the same cost recovery rate. T-ball, the uniforms are more expensive, so it's probably a little bit less. And basketball has a lot more staff costs associated with it because we are fortunate to partner with the schools. I do have to staff someone there for every time the program is running. So for some practices, for every single game. And we also have referees. So the cost is just a little bit higher for that.
And we also pay overtime.
Yeah, we do. The custodian, which is a
The
lot.
custodians
Yeah.
that work for the schools, right?
Yeah.
To pay them on weekends during
Yeah,
games.
during games. So I would say basketball probably operates at a little bit less of a cost recovery, but we're trying to find that sweet spot where it's still, we want to be affordable and accessible to people in our community, but we also still need to be flexible and nimble as an organization so we can cover our overhead and be able to serve the community better.
And one more question on the same note. As far as you use basketball and T-ball again, are the rates similar, resident and non-resident?
Yes. So what I have done with youth programs is I just set a blanket. It's $10 more for non-residents for sports. For camp, I believe it's $50 more for the full summer and $25 for half the summer. So that's to offset the taxpayer impact of using our facilities. Yes, so it is the same. Like it's always a $10 difference, but it's something that we could look into if it needs to be a percentage or something like that.
Thanks.
What's the ratio of resident to non-resident typically? Do we have a lot of non-resident?
In some sports, yes. For camp, it's mostly residents. We get, I would say, a handful of non-residents. But in some of our sports, like there's a lot of communities, especially in the SAU, that might not have large rec departments, so they don't offer as many sports and programs that we do. So we do see a lot of non-residents. Our track program, for instance, we get over 100 participants, and I would say maybe like 20% is non-resident. Because we do have some much smaller communities that just don't have robust rec departments that we do.
And we actually see that a lot in our seniors too. Our senior programs are attracting a lot from outside the Exeter area. We do have our core, but we have people traveling from Massachusetts to utilize our programs.
How does that profit loss number and cost recovery compare to revenue on like renting out your fields to like an FC Exeter, for example? Is there a balance between like we actually make more money not offering a program and having someone else come in and offer it?
Yes, perfect example is Seacoast Flag Football. When we ran the flag football league, there's a lot of overhead. Obviously, you got equipment, and then referees and field supervisors because you wanted to make sure people are safe. Where now we flipped it, where we're just here's the field. They line it, they pay for everything, and we do very well. The local leagues, Dan, I would say they help offset cost of maintaining the fields.
Right.
Really, that's like a big thing for us is like getting the infields ready. We utilize the fields too, so it's not like it's a fee that we feel should be incurred on the leagues, but turning over those fields, getting them ready for spring, as you know, is not cheap. So it's kind of a balancing act of like knowing what revenues we're bringing in, and then goes back to the sod thing. Like, all right, the field rental for FC Exeter helped pay, if you think about it, pay for the sod.
Do the rules in town allow you to subsidize that with like a maintenance sponsorship? Or do those all have to go out for like a request for a proposal?
No, we would need to always put out RFP. We can't trade for that. But we have come up, like Dave and I, we launched the park sponsorship. So you can, for a banner, a business can come and for $300 get a banner and hang up, similar like you guys do for EJBSL.
Right. But like, we're allowed to say we'll hang a banner if you mow at this rate, right?
We cannot do that.
Okay.
But Dan, also to your question on, the cost recovery compared to a youth sports versus like a field rental, I think the next slide we'll kind of get into that a little bit more if there's no other questions on that previous slide. All right, perfect. So this is some of the cost recovery benefit tiers that we came up with together in our department. Definitely open to feedback from all of you, and this will kind of tie into the homework that we all assigned you, and we'll pull something up to kind of show like live results from all your voting. But I guess like starting at the bottom here, so open access and community events. Those are free events. Again, like the egg hunt, the Halloween parade. Those are events. Also open spaces like our parks and stuff. We're not charging people just to take a walk in the park. So our cost recovery at that is 0. Moving up, like human services, we've had some programs like Medicare 101. We've had United Healthcare come in and help with open enrollment for older adults. Other human services, we don't have a lot, but we are starting to offer some more of those. Like a scam prevention presentation for anyone who'd like to join and things like that. So for cost recovery there, we may charge a little bit to help if we have like a speaker coming in who charges, we may charge a little bit to help offset some of those costs. And then we may, subsidize the rest through whether it's a grant or if it's sponsored, like a lecture series may be sponsored by a business.
See, I personally think our luncheons fall under human services because we are meeting a need for food insecurities. We implemented this year to spread our dollars out, a $3 charge. And not to brag, but the three of us make a pretty good meal. But that's the cost that Meals on Wheels would charge. So even though we are asking, and if someone did say, hey, I can't afford it, we're not turning them away. But our older adults do realize the impact of just giving a couple dollars. And it's also a buy-in. Like, they paid $3, they're going to show up and get their $3 of food, if not more. So...
and then, so like drop-in activities, and I won't read the descriptions. I know you all have the exercise, but, these are things like our pool and splash pad or some of our court sports, adult luncheon games. These are activities, that we're aiming to break even or make a little bit more for cost recovery. Beginner activities, education and enrichment, special events. So I believe that is where our youth programming kind of fit in there. So you can see our cost recovery versus that. And then at the top, like rentals and sales. So like field rentals and stuff. And concessions. So just to tie it back into Dan's comment there. And then we have intermediate, advanced, private or semi-private programs or lessons. Things like that. So as you can tell, as you go up, it gets more exclusive. So therefore, there's more of a premium on those programs and services and stuff like that. And then just a couple of like asterisks here. So like some of our service categories have additional funding such as grants, as we mentioned, that's why there's some overlaps. Does anyone have any questions on this?
I just have a comment. Knowing how I responded to the survey,
Yeah.
what I value from a rec board is a complete invert of this. And
So-
I think that's our challenge.
Yes, and so this is open for discussion. So this is just an example of like what we had come up with, but then it was funny because David and I's answers were like different than Greg's, and we were like, wait, what? So it sparked some really interesting conversation, and I think that's, this is, at the end of this conversation, we would like to have something like this that we're all hopefully in agreement on, of, you know, what the different levels are, where we rank things, and how we're aiming for cost recovery, knowing that we want to be financially sustainable, while also being affordable and accessible.
But yeah, it's interesting because that is the challenge of public recreation
Yes.
and limited funds. Is what we all want to be isn't sustainable.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so, in your packets that we emailed out earlier, we had given you all some homework in December to do. That was titled like service categories, and the exercise was to rank order the various service categories that we had laid out from common goods services, so services and products that you attribute to having the most greater good, essential must-haves, having a wide community impact, that influence social and environmental issues and needs, and then to the most exclusive services that are specialized interests benefiting individuals more than the greater good. So discretionary or nice to haves, less community-wide impact, and include constraints or barriers to access. So without further ado, if you all could scan this QR code, and we're going to rank order our service categories.
I'm gonna go with my first good.
And we do have them in the packet. I didn't have page numbers on here, but the description of the service categories is listed. It looks like this, if you needed some descriptions. Beginner activities, community events,
So are we
drop-in.
re-ranking this pyramid? I don't understand the activity. I'm sorry.
So you're ranking how you guys all voted individually. You should have it on your worksheet, and you want to rank them in order.
No, I know Greg sent it to me, but I still didn't understand it then because the pyramid's already done.
So the pyramid, it was an example. So we're trying to,
These are the same things that are on the pyramid.
yes, and we're trying to.
We want to see how the board rates these different, because that was how we rated the categories. We want to get your feedback, like like Mike mentioned, like I think he said it was completely inverted. So he may have like rentals and sales on the bottom. You all may have different service categories in different tiers. I can't imagine we all agreed. Like we didn't agree on certain
No,
things.
yeah.
So that was the point of this poll, was to we want to know like where.
So we can create a pyramid as a group, if that makes sense.
So the number one is like the most common good in our
Most
opinion.
common good.
And what's a common good again?
Most-
It is the most beneficial to the widest number of people. Can be characterized as an essential must-have, having community-wide impact.
So someone on this board might say rentals is more important than open access and community events.
Potentially.
Because it brings in 175%.
Can we pull up our mission maybe to help us
Yeah.
do that?
Does everyone, I can move away from the QR code?
And this was completely irregardless of what brings in the most money, right? This was just base community garden. Okay.
This is, do not.
Percentages on the side don't have to stay the way they are. I think they're looking for your order of priority.
Correct.
For the item first, and then have a discussion
Slide
on.
them up underneath it, and it'll pop it up. Looks like, so I was going to square and it was popping them up in the wrong places.
It was fun.
Yeah.
We spelled Exeter wrong, so there you go.
It's just fun. Kids haven't taught me how to do it. Usually, I don't know what resales are.
Greg, what's an example of a resale?
Concessions.
Oh. Like how important that would be to have.
Yeah, or if we have merch.
Okay.
So our mission statement is the Exeter Parks and Recreation Department is committed to providing affordable, inclusive, accessible opportunities to a diverse range of abilities and interests across generations to build confidence, quality of life, and pride in community. And our vision statement is Exeter Parks and Recreation is building an active, healthy, and engaged community.
Yeah, I do think that people should vote on the pyramids. That also aligns with our mission. I mean, we have financial responsibility, but we also have a mission statement. And so I think that these are, there is a blend that has to be
Not too late.
also thought through.
Still love that sentence.
Of course you do. It's a good sentence. It's
Well
quality.
written.
No rec department ever had a sentence as good as that.
Thank you. This is what I need to do.
And David and I did this exercise at the financial sustainability workshop that we went to a couple years ago. And even when we did that, all of us had, there's like one category we all agreed on, and then everyone else, it was all over the map. So just interesting.
Yeah, they're coming in. I just don't know that it looks kind of. Oh, I just lost something. Oh.
You're overthinking.
I know, it's like.
I know,
Playing with this is fun.
No, it's like.
I want to put this in and be willing to completely change my mind as soon as someone presses me on any of these.
I mean, it's
You're right, I'm sorry.
It's also just a
There's no
moment,
name
it's a
attached.
moment in time, right? It's a moment in time.
Well,
It's like book
and I think
club.
it's a little bit of perspective, though, and
Based on someone else's.
I don't think I can.
Discussion. I can't, you're already a step ahead of me. I can't even do it. My brain doesn't.
Do you want to use my computer? I have it pulled up.
No, my brain does not compute what we're trying to accomplish. I like your pyramid.
Okay, we could. Okay.
I also have a different experience than everyone here, and I would
Yeah.
follow this pyramid.
Fair.
This is, when I saw the pyramid, I was like, this is an industry standard pyramid. I agree with this pyramid. I follow this pyramid. I do this pyramid. Although I use a candy corn example and not a pyramid.
Do you like candy corn? Or are you like it's a great
I do
candy?
in general like candy corns.
I do too. I feel like I'm like an odd duck with that. And I like the pumpkins the best, the candy pumpkins.
We're in a rabbit hole. So my mother makes a Spanish peanut and candy corn mixture every year.
I would like
For
some.
my 52 years of existence, my brother even longer, my grandmother made it before. It's amazing. It's salty. It becomes salty candy corns.
I love that. That sounds delicious. Sign me.
I love candy corns too. So yeah, I do this. I describe it as like the big bottom white, or the big bottom yellow part is. Because I do think in some regards, I know I should do this, but I'm not doing it. This is a very detailed chart versus maybe making your candy corn bottom, drop in human services, But I see where you're going.
I think some of the examples that we gave too, like even internally, we've had conversations about like, why did we list that as that category? So,
Well, also, it's a little bit.
Security is part of that.
And I think this was what was tripping you up, because what the survey is asking for is like ranking like one as like the priority, whereas here, like the visual is like the base is the priority. So it's
Correct.
visually.
Right, my
Yeah.
brain is
Yeah.
having a hard time.
Yeah,
not
that's what I
doing
was like, wait a
I'm
minute.
One,
So Mike, when you said like yours would be opposite, I actually think yours would be the same.
Wait,
It's just this is number one because
Oh, yeah,
on the
you-
base of the
That
pyramid,
just
it's
made
taking up
sense.
the
Thank you,
most.
Dan.
Well, I'm looking at
Yeah, because mine is
what I
more.
think is most important versus what brings in
But does
revenue.
your most important, what you think is right for this department, echo what our mission statement is?
No.
Or are you like, oh, but we need to do that to make the mission state
No,
possible?
no, what I'm saying is what makes the most margin
Fiscally, financially?
fiscally.
So we shouldn't consider profit or any
So-
type of money like in this exercise.
But that's
That
against
was
your
my
brain,
comment.
like
Yeah.
that's
That
your.
was my comment.
Yeah,
In that if I look at what I think is most important to offer as a recreation department is not necessarily the things that bring in the most revenue.
Correct.
Right.
Same with,
That was
yeah.
my
Like an example is
Yeah, I
like
think
a
we all-
park.
yeah,
How
I agree
important
with
is
you on
a
that. That's how
open
mine was set
space
up, too.
park in a community? That's not making money for us, but how important is that for the greater good?
Exactly.
Like I think most people would agree that that's very important for a community, especially in a city. Like that was to Greg's point. If in a city, in our area, we're fortunate to have lots of conservation areas, places to open spaces. In a city, that is very important to have.
There's also like the qualitative versus quantitative sort of like ratio too, where you're like, all right, how does like resale merch, if it's bringing in money, but there's also a qualitative thing because you see people wearing the hoodies and you see people with the t-shirts and it just brings like the vibe up a little bit and you're like, oh, this is like a professional operation. So it's like more than just the money that you make off of it. It's also like marketing and advertising and putting your brand out there.
Yeah.
And so you have to do kind of that calculus as well.
or how about the super good feels you get when you see a kid in January wearing their rec
That's what I mean.
camp t-shirt?
Exactly.
Right? You're
my
like,
kids wear
"Oh my
exclusively like baseball uniforms and rec uniforms to school and sweatpants. I don't know why we spend any money on any other clothing at all, And they're just walking billboards for the great programming.
Hence why, one of the expenses we did last year, we bought pens. Like,
Yeah.
we want people to walk away with these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they could say, what's Parks and Rec doing to, and so we bought 1,000 pens, just hoping they disappear.
And like something like the hood, like the Coach hoodies, like that's not like a generic cheap hoodie.
Yes.
And so I
Oh,
actually
beef
wear it
that.
other than just when I coach.
I still have beefage on that.
I know,
I think
that must
they're
be a
pretty
new thing.
awesome.
Yeah, they're great.
I saw. It's cool.
Only
Yeah, it's a
coached 13
pride.
years and
Right.
don't want
So you
it.
spend like whatever, $4 more per unit, but then what do you get back qualitatively from that?
And not, I'm gonna, I'm going to say this kind of helps. Caroline, for the first time, didn't need to recruit coaches. Maybe the hoodies are helping.
right?
I want a Parks and Rec hoodie.
The hoodies and the communication.
Right.
I think that's,
Oh, that's nice to say.
yeah, well, it's true.
Excuse me.
You don't
Bless
get that
you.
everywhere.
Good luck to Dan this weekend going into the semifinals.
That's right.
Yeah, good luck, good luck.
Home game at Lincoln Street, 10 a.m. on Saturday.
What team is this?
5th, 6th grade boys basketball.
Do you have a team sponsorship?
Yeah, it's not, I forget who's on the back of the jersey.
Cut this part.
Is it
Riverbend
zone or
Builders.
man-to-man?
Oh, come on, Mike. Oh, only man to man.
It's Riverbend Builders.
We don't play zone.
Thank you, Riverbend Builders.
No one gets any better playing zone.
Help side defense.
Yeah, help side defense,
That's what
exactly.
you can do, always. We clarified that.
1-3-1.
Yeah.
Help side defense.
We go
Oh, yeah.
1-3-1 motion offense.
Sure. That's right.
Coaching 7th graders and we
And I'm like,
encountered
Hey,
a
listen,
team that was,
it wins championships.
one grade, it was
That's
great.
right.
That was the most exciting.
everybody on the team was as tall as me and
I had realized there were so
By the way,
went
the
to
Stratton
zone
guys still
in
haven't
10
done
minutes.
that already.
Thank you for being.
we won.
Oh, yeah.
Still
Survival.
Talk about zone.
Dan, who are you
comes up.
playing?
And kids who watch
Chester
basketball
Black
knows
and
all
then,
that. Like, it's not like
Candia.
it's a completely foreign concept.
And you don't talk to the house.
Are you the only Exeter team left?
No, we have another team in the consolation bracket as well.
Yep, in the
find it
Division
funny.
2 bracket.
Yeah.
Wild
I
Hearts?
mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even that's like,
Obviously, I'm
that keeps people coming back. 'cause
It
They have
does,
a
yeah.
quality playoff experience
Correct.
against leveled opponents.
Correct.
And so now you're not getting blown out. You get 2 or 3 extra games.
Correct.
And that'll be fun if we both win and we can play
Yeah.
back to back at Raymond on Sunday.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. And we just had our girls, one of our girls' 3-4 teams, just finished their season last week undefeated. So
Wow.
Nice.
Yep, they won both of their jamboree games, and then I believe 2 of the girls won the skills competition.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah.
She's not. Or you don't start. I just like, yeah, I'm crazy. It's like, oh, but I'm damn fun. It's fun a lot.
They had a great year.
And it's so much fun. So much fun.
Meant to meet her. I've never heard of this.
They learned so much, like from the beginning. I mean, they were just, oh my God, never did They were just, yeah, they never gave up.
For sure.
Needs to get something on the street.
You know, I do find it interesting is that now that the freshmen have Mallory playing,
Unless I can unplug.
even though everyone else has gotten better, she opens up the floor for everyone else just based on how she drives. And I could tell she's rusty because she plays so many other sports. It's like not her main sport.
Yeah.
But
It's her favorite though. It used to be her favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be. I don't know if it is still. It used to be her favorite.
yeah.
Virginia basketball night.
Like that was her
Sundays.
She wanted to start like mind focusing on.
Oh, yeah.
Such a good soccer year too.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah, she had a really good soccer year.
I think it slightly missed Jason Sweeney, who
Interns
Jason.
doing videos at UNA.
he didn't have as much success with that group of girls. And then when they got to this next level,
Moral support.
they finally gelled. Like once they had a couple of girls in a bit of a different
Do you
direction.
want to blow up the screen?
But I think if they just
with the 3 dots. in
got
the
to
top
that next
right?
level of
Check out his
experience,
Yeah.
but also some of the girls got like
He does
Up by the X, then Wiz Productions or something like that.
Yeah,
And then you can just zoom.
yeah, something similar.
Katie, the tall girl. It's great. She rode the pine for Jason.
All right, so here's sort of like a chart of how everyone voted, and we can go into each one of these too and sort of see where people ranked them, whether you ranked open access at a 1 or maybe a 2 or a 3. I know it's just a little blurry up here, but it looks like majority of the group, and there was, I think, 6 responses, ranked open access as number 1. So I think that's
I couldn't
pretty
do it.
on par with what we came up with
Struggle
as
following
well.
instruction.
Beginner activities, number 2. Number 3 was community events. 4, education and enrichment. 5 was drop-in activities. 6, human services. 7, special events. 8, intermediate/advanced activities. 9 is rentals and reservations. 10 was private, semi-private activities, and 11 resales.
Do you know what those different colors mean? Is it just to show the difference?
I think it's just to show the
Okay.
difference, but let me,
That's interesting.
Off, like,
so we can see there were 6 results, so it looks like maybe, I should see how many. So yeah, 5 voted open access as a 1, and 1 person put them at 3. If you can see these little lines.
Someone thinking like I am.
apparently I don't.
So whoever voted for number 1, if you are willing to share why, I mean, this is definitely like something that's open for discussion too. Again, Greg, Caroline, myself, our office manager, Jen Gussler, who has also worked in Parks and Recreation before, our senior coordinator, Lori, like we all had different answers to this. Some of us agreed on like certain categories and then others like disagreed. And it just opens a discussion, and they're important discussions to have too, so please.
Yeah, I think, I mean, honestly, this goes back to the impact fees. If you think about what you can see when you drive into a town versus what you have to go onto a website to uncover. I mean, you're seeing the parks, you're seeing the open spaces. It's attracting homeowners, it's attracting development, it's attracting people to the town in a more maybe like obvious concrete way than all the other amazing things that you offer that you're not just going to see driving through. You're going to have to dig around a little bit more. So I just think that alone gets it up pretty high.
I think this has the least barrier for residents and non-residents for anybody to use. It's there. While there could be some barrier because of mobility or the access is there for everybody.
Yeah.
Where for me, as you go down the line, the barrier or the need became maybe greater, or the need became less.
Yeah.
For the larger population.
Yeah.
I just think a well-maintained, clean park offers, the most opportunities for most people, whether it be families, friends to get together, individuals, whatever. It's just a open access to really all people. So that's why I voted for it.
And I always like to point out, people that don't think they actually utilize Parks and Rec may utilize Parks and Rec by having access to our open parks. True. By bringing a bag lunch. They've been behind a screen all day. They just want to go have lunch outside. So that's one of the opportunities that this does present.
Thank you all. So beginner activities, this was starting to get a little bit more diverse. Anyone have any comments on some of those? And I don't have the list in front of me right now.
I would hold the mic if you could.
Oh, yeah.
That way we can hear you well.
For me, that was just so important because I look at the difference between when we were younger as opposed to when our kids are younger. And when we were younger, we all started a little bit older in the activities that we were doing, and you didn't have to already be proficient in the sports that you were playing in order to get any playing time or have any satisfaction of playing. And now it's as if, if somebody does decide to go play outside of Parks and Rec and not have the beginner experience, they get eaten up at the schools even. And so I just think it's so important looking and seeing that we have that to offer for kids so that even if they get into the Parks and Rec program and a beginner program, they're still getting that experience that they can maybe step into school and still have some participation. Otherwise, we know that those kids, unfortunately, now are probably going to sit on the bench or not be around. So for me, it's really, really important to have the beginner activities. That's why I put that so high.
I put it high from, I know with my kids, just the joy of being out there on a chilly fall morning and watching 5-year-olds running around playing soccer or t-ball, and just no pressure, fun, and it gets kids outside, and I think they continue on it doesn't have to be sports, but they want to go to the park. They want to be with their buddies. I think it's important.
The socialization, you're 100% right. And for parents too, not just the kids.
Yeah, I think it's just exposure to a variety of experiences at the beginner level.
I actually ranked it a bit lower. While I think it is important, when I think of Parks and Rec, two images come to my mind: a walk in the park and a kid playing soccer. That's just, what I think about.
Yeah.
But, I do have to say, when I read through the descriptions of each bucket here, which I thought was really helpful, if you're thinking about the greatest community good, I think a lot of times beginner activities do have a little bit more of a barrier because sometimes it is more age dependent. Although there are more, there are beginner activities for older individuals. It is usually for a younger age group. So I would almost say like something like human services, to me, serves a greater common good. But it's really tough. I mean, this is...
It is, yeah.
It's very tough, yeah.
It's a good exercise, yeah.
So one thing I would say, I would challenge you to look outside of sports and the parks. I think of beginner chess. I think of beginner drama, beginner dance, beginner pickleball. I know but we have so many kids, like to what Mike and Jen were just saying, it's the social emotional intelligence that they're learning, how to be part of a group, how to wait in line. And I think it's Nick, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's beginner, but sometimes we have teen beginner chest, or sometimes we have young adult like beginner ballroom. It's just, what do you want to learn that you don't really know what to learn, and can it be affordable? And if you'd like to take it to the next level, there are other places outside, probably not Park and Rec, but it's just introducing people to things that they can do in their free time that are beneficial to them and to their community.
And I would actually say we have more adult beginner programs than we do youth beginner programs. Yeah. We do a lot of sports here.
And when you think of just quality of life and allowing people to try something new at an older age in a safe way, in a quality way, right? And so I agree. I think thinking of like those, learn to make sourdough, right? Like it's like you had this positive experience, taking a risk, trying something new. You're growing as a person at any age when you do that. So I think it's hugely valuable.
Yep, there's a connection to your community that you wouldn't get if you didn't leave the house.
Yeah, just getting outside your box, exactly.
So community events was also a little diverse as well here too. If anyone has any comments on, so the community events, I just want to clarify too, different from your special events. So like, for example, Powder Keg, special event, there's a fee to enter. It's a little bit more of a niche market, whereas like community event, a little bit broader. We don't charge for it. Just wanted to specify that.
They got me on that one when I filled it out, when we were talking.
And I think actually in the exercise, we may have listed the Halloween or the egg hunt under special event. So just wanted to make sure that should not be under, special events are more special and do have a fee associated with it. Whereas a community event is just how it sounds. It's a free, open community event.
Distinction.
Yeah,
We want
I'll tell
the
you,
least amount of barriers on something like
that
that.
was my number one ranked one, because I feel, and Mike's down there chatting with us at every fireworks. That's the one event that really brings the whole town together. You can't really deny it when you walk down Swayze Parkway with 6,000 people or whatever it is down there, and all enjoying themselves. There's some community pride dating back all the way. This is why people have always been going to fireworks. It's something about that patriotism that really you want to be part of the town. And the Halloween parade, to Dave's example, Doug Dicey started the Halloween parade. Now we've modified the route, but you see, and especially now that we've combined it with downtown trick or treat, thousands, at least 1,000 people walking downtown, like really coming in. And are they all residents? Probably not, but at the same time, it's something that people look forward to.
I had that ranked higher as well. I had it up at 2 because it's such a feel good thing, and there are people you don't see at all during the year that you'll see out there, and it's just really nice to come in and walk away and remember why you live in the community, because sometimes it costs a lot to live here, but then you remember why you go down and things like that, and you're like, yeah, this is it. This is why I'm here.
This is home.
Yeah.
And I think the music too, although music's tough because it's so weather dependent.
Education and enrichment. So we're starting to see it moving a little bit towards, the 2, 3, and 4 areas of our ranking system here too. So again, it looks like as a group, we're starting to move a little bit away from that community-wide impact, although still pretty important, and addressing that common good theme that we've been seeing here so far.
This is also, I want to just say, where we internally had classified our summer camp and our specialty camps and some of our popular senior programs.
Yeah, I had this pretty high. Although this is a good activity because I learned a little bit more about, some of the beginner activities. But, really the examples here are pretty striking, right? Between day camps and senior trips and, some of the other ones, which is really an inclusive group. And I know those are, when I hear the numbers, from year to year and they continue to grow and those have a lot of momentum, I think it means a lot to the community. But
And I also want to challenge everyone, just think that when we say day camp, we're not only talking about the camp counselors, or I mean the campers, we're talking about the staff. Because this is sometimes their first job. They're learning all kinds of responsibilities, and that is a professional development for them to go out and get a real job.
I almost want to put the word quality in front of all of these as well, because none of them, education enrichment's great, and then you go and you're like, well, what did I really get out of that? So it's also making sure that that's quality education and quality enrichment for each of these is so important. And almost with some of them, it's not doing it well is worse than not doing it,
I ranked this one a little bit higher than what that's at now, because in the sentence here it says, the primary intent is to provide socialization, interaction, and life skills development with the focus on education and lifelong learning. So I thought that it's extremely important for the community to offer those type of skills.
Awesome. Thank you all for your comments on this. So drop-in activities, it looks like we're around that 3, 5, and 6, so kind of in the middle here. From common good to exclusive, we're sort of right in the middle here with these drop-in activities. If anyone has any comments.
So I can give you an example.
A community that I used to work in had a drop-in toddler program, and it was 2 days a week, and we had probably 40 parents and kids come every Tuesday, Thursday, and the moms, like Bryn said, would socialize. The kids would socialize. They'd be with us for 4 or 5 years. They'd come flying down the hallway to get their stamp, and it was called Tot Time. The other piece was open gym. I think of a lot of the kids now, everything is so structured. They don't know how to shoot for teams, or they're not going down and playing wiffle ball in big groups. So I think having a building supervisor or a gym supervisor there so the kids can just figure it out a little bit is important. If it's more important than other things, I can't speak to that because everybody is different. But I do think drop-in programs allow people to put their toe in the water and learn about Park and Rec and be like, oh, this is kind of cool. Maybe I can do something else. So
You can also differentiate drop-in and make it a real resident value. This is a value to residents. They get free, let's say, open gym, and then we're creating a barrier for some non-residents by having a fee, and then that's when you can actualize some revenue. But then the residents get an this is a benefit to you as a taxpayer, because you get this for free. And that's the benefit sometimes of drop-in activities too.
All right, moving on to human services. Okay, so this is spread out a little bit here. We have maybe 1 or 2 people who rank this at a number 2, so pretty high as far as on the common good side. And then we have some 4, 5, and 6, and then even an 8, it looks like. A couple people maybe ranked it at 8, so a little bit further down towards the more exclusive side on the exercise that we did. So it looks like there's definitely some differing opinions on this, which is good.
I ranked it lower because it felt a little bit more niche. To me, that it was more, while it's important, it was more targeted to particular audiences, and I just didn't see it reaching a lot of people. which is why I
Right.
ranked it lower.
Yeah, I think you could make the argument like any one of these are important, even the resales, which so like the concession stand's a good example. It's very important that we have snacks and items for campers or anyone visiting the pool or the park to be affordable for them. But also that is something that probably most of us would agree, like we need to have a high cost recovery. I know we're not supposed to talk about dollars in this exercise, but yes, a little bit more niche in my opinion. But human services obviously very important. So anyone else rank that a little differently or have a different look on that?
I was just thinking too, in terms of like where else people can go to get services like this. So it's like a lot of the things listed here you can do at Exeter Public Library,
right?
Or some of the resident communities in town like offer versions of this. So it's like you can get it in other places as well.
Right.
That, I agree with Dan, that I ranked it lower too, because like Medicare, that's some of the, you can go to a different agency. I don't think you should be going to the recreation department for that type of service.
You'd be surprised at some of the calls that we get coming in. With all the snow, we've had a lot of older adults reach out for assistance with shoveling snow. So we've been trying to connect people that way. But David also put together the Senior Resource Guide, which has been a wonderful resource for our community. So although it doesn't necessarily seem like we are the place to go for human services, we do end up getting like a lot of calls and inquiries about that. And that Senior Resource Guide has been a fantastic resource that David has authored and put together.
And there is a sort of like catch-all nature too, where it's like you have people here for this, you can also offer this while they're here. So it's like, while you're here, learn about this, you know, and they trust you. You know, you've developed that over the years, and so when they have a question like that, they know they can get a straight
100%,
answer.
yeah,
Correct.
You guys are a trusted resource. The other thing is, as you delve deeper into senior programming, you are going to land yourselves in the human services pool more often than you may have in the past. That's just going to be a byproduct of offering senior programming.
I put it a little lower, just use heating and the warming and cooling center as an example. In many communities, human services would be top of the list. But we're lucky to live where it's not really common that people need a heating or cooling center, for example.
I think it's good to hear some different comments on this. You know, I'm the guy that listed it number 2. I think in retrospect, I may have not put it at number 2, but I'd still put it fairly high. I mean, when you look at maybe some of the language in here, you know, life challenges and, you know, providing resources for those in need, and I still do think that ranks as a greater common good at the same level as, you know, some other activities. But it is interesting to hear, you know, Caroline's, you know, comment that maybe it's just easier for them to connect with you in terms of when they're in need, because they're very familiar and it's easy, and I wasn't aware of that. So I think it's great that you guys are there as a resource.
The rec answers the phone.
Yeah, and if we don't have like the right answer, we reach out to other departments or other resources and get those answers for them too. But yeah,
You guys are so good.
We're seeing
You're
it
so good.
more and more, as Bryn mentioned. Yeah, great, good discussion. Got a few more. So special events. Okay, wow, this is spread out here. So we have some ranking it closer to that common good end, and then looks like a little bit more of the group ranking it more towards the exclusive side.
I had this one higher because I don't know if I was 3 or 4, because I was thinking of the sort of like trickle down effect of those special events. So while the event itself may be exclusive, a whole lot of people come into town and use other things like during the powder keg. And I also think there's like I spoke to this earlier, like the idea of like the brand and what you represent in town, and when people come in and they're like, oh, Exeter has this amazing thing, and like word spreads. So yeah, there is that sort of like exclusivity to the nature of it, but I think it has like those events tend to have big ripple effects.
That's a good perspective.
To that point, Dan, a colleague of ours down at Clemson University did if anyone knows, Placer AI. It's basically, it uses cell phone data and he's doing a analysis of last year's powder keg and seeing how many people were brought in from over 500 or 50 miles, and then it kind of shows the activity of like, all right, they may have come in and then they went to Me and Ollie's, or it kind of watches them. And he's also doing a report on playing at Playground after we opened it too.
Oh, cool.
Fascinating.
Wow.
I know where you are.
Seriously.
My brother's always watching.
Intermediate and advanced activities. Looks like we have a few kind of right in the middle, and then a couple more, again, towards more of that exclusive end. If there's any comments on that, I was just looking at what we put down again for those intermediate and advanced. So cardio, tennis, our court sports, martial arts, aqua zumba, chair yoga, swim lessons. So again, like a little bit more niche market, maybe more of like on the exclusive end, depending on who you're asking, nice to haves. I don't know if anyone has any comments on any of that.
Well, I think it's important just because I think the beginner youth sports are important. You kind of have to have at least the intermediate level to have a path to continue.
Yeah, I know I mentioned swim lessons. I mean, that's something that we think like everyone should go, everyone should be able to know that life skill. Can literally save your life. So, I mean, yeah, you could make that argument that it is a...
I think we did have
Support
swim
essential.
lessons in a few places. Like a learn to swim is definitely like a beginner.
Yeah.
And then we had like when you're learning the butterfly stroke as like a
I did put level 4
intermediate
and
advanced.
up
Yeah.
and intermediate.
I was
so
like, I
thank
just
you.
wanted to clarify.
Yeah, yes.
Well, I guess if we take pickleball, for example, right? Because this crosses between beginner and intermediate activities. It seems like, and you let me know, that the intermediate advanced is booming, and while the beginner is, it seems like you have more, it serves a greater population, the intermediate advanced, but it's just one example.
Yeah, so I would say our beginner program feeds our like drop-in program. That becomes very much like intermediate advanced.
Okay.
So I would say most players, like I would say 8, correct me if I'm wrong, about 8 courts are between intermediate and advanced. Yeah. With like 2 designated for beginner.
Right.
So we do run beginner classes, but we've also run intermediate tournaments, like a one-day tournament, an advanced tournament, and we've done some like specific skills. So for intermediate advanced players.
Okay. It's good to know.
Yes.
Pickleball's a great example because that is one, as you were just talking about, how it kind of falls into different categories. So, and I know we've kind of gone over a little bit of time, but we'll get into some of the, like how we price certain, like, for example, intro to pickleball has a certain price, but like private pickleball lessons has another price, like, because it's falling into those different categories, which is kind of part of the whole exercise here.
I think it's important too that kids who start in your beginner programs get to age up with the rec for a few years before they're siphoned off into travel leagues and things like that. I would imagine if you were to run a study on your counselors at summer camp, your referees, that a whole heck of a lot of them played at the intermediate level in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. You know, they played beyond just the beginner level. So you're also like building some human capital there by keeping kids involved to later ages.
It also proves fiscally easier to hire when, like, you know these kids and, like, the time spent on hiring 10 new counselors versus 8 counselors, because those kids are already invested.
Yeah,
in
they're already
your-
onboarded with the culture.
Totally, yeah. There's a financial cost savings to all of that.
All right, rentals and reservations. Looks like most of us were pretty much on the same page as far as that, more towards that exclusive end, nice to haves, less of a greater common good effect. But again, we've talked about it in the office, and like how important is it to have, let's say, the pavilion down at the rec park be affordable to rent as a family to have a birthday party. So again, I know I keep bringing up costs, and I shouldn't be, but it's just like things that we keep bouncing off. Like,
And it goes back to like, does it take away a resource from the community? So if you're renting the courts for an entire weekend, like a tournament, we need to price that accordingly, because you are taking away 10 courts and 2 basketball courts, from the community, if that makes sense. But we also have things like our kayak rentals and our snowshoe rentals that are priced very affordably, so people can come and try it out and enjoy a day on the river or out on the trails, trying something new.
all right, last two, private, semi-private activities. We've touched on that a little bit, but yeah, again, now like starting to get to the opposite end here of that exclusive, and then resales, so merchandise and consumable goods, pretty similar at the end there. So yeah, we also grouped some of our categories together in that pyramid chart that you all have. Any comments on all of this? Good exercise for us to kind of get your input on where you all rank these categories. I think at the end of the day, we're all pretty much on the same page, but no matter what, there's always going to be like little different opinions on certain things like that, and not a bad thing. It's certainly good to get different perspectives on all that as well. What do we have next?
I think-
Pricing?
Yeah, we wanted to talk about our cost recovery pricing and thinking about how we want to kind of structure our pyramid a little bit.
Want to go back to your...
Yeah, oh yeah, if you click into it's a tab on it's like the second tab. And then, yeah. Up.
This one?
Up one. And then if you just click slideshow in the top right corner. So again, this was the example that we had done, and we just like threw some cost recovery numbers in there. So they're not per se exactly what we do. And I think we have a few things that are all over the pyramid here. But we did want to like align, right? So looking at this, I see our beginner activities is what sticks out to me the most, because we had it ranked a little bit. And again, this is like a break-even price. So beginner activities are at a break-even price. Is there anything on here that you're like, why is that there? If that makes sense.
Yeah, if you are calling Powder Keg special event, that's the only thing that I would say you are looking to make a profit on the Powder Keg.
Correct.
If that's your definition of special event.
Yes.
You know.
Powder Keg, we have like a Galentine's Day on Friday, and that's ticketed.
So you have ticketed events, if you're
Yeah.
expecting to make more than 100% cost recovery because you want to make an actual profit.
Correct.
And that would be the only thing I could think of that would go up. You could move that particular item.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you essentially have three major, you have the candy corn, you have the three major chunks, right? You have 0% cost recovery, you have 100% where you're breaking even, and then you have, these are the programs that are specialized and have a higher cost point. And I mean, that's essentially what you have. And essentially, based on our mission, you know, the big fat bottom is, you know, things that people should be able to afford or have no barriers to access. I mean, you're essentially, you've accomplished that, and there could just be some tweaks. And certain programs, like a beginner activity, could have a 100% cost recovery, but then there might be another beginner activity where you're like, "Meh, we're not making all our money back."
Yeah.
Right.
So it does move over. It's not, you know, fixed all the time for every activity. It's fluid.
Yeah, and there's a plus symbol there.
Yeah.
So like I think of like if you remember her soccer example, it was like 142. Well, it's still really affordable. We're able to do it at that price point, but that that surplus allows us to pay for other programs, to keep other programs that we can't quite cost appropriately. So it's a balance. I think it's a quantity thing, right? So like, okay, if we have some rentals, we're looking in that zone, but we know we can't do all these rentals because that's not the park and rec department that we want to build.
Yeah.
But we know we want to do a ton of beginner activities, so we want to at least break even or make a little so that we can do more of what we want to do.
Yeah.
And then to the point of open access being in the bottom, Greg's park money is general fund money. That is taxes coming from everybody, or the park improvement fund, right? So that cost is spread out to everybody in the community because we want open access. We want everybody to not have a barrier to go to our parks. So this really fits really nicely, but I do think it's a quantity thing where
Right.
The other thing is soccer is a perfect example of that. If you had a humongous wait list for soccer, you could say, you know what, I am going to up the price. Maybe we'll make a little bit more money because, you know, there's such a demand. So you might have these other factors that drive your price a little bit, like, oh, we're going to increase the ticket price. Oh, we're going to increase because with this wait list, it seems like we could, you know.
But at that point, you make a little bit of money and you squirrel some away because we do have some large expenses coming down the line,
Yeah.
especially talking about tennis reconstruction in however knows how many years. The goal of ours is eventually getting a multi-purpose gym on the back of the new facility. I mean, things like that where if we can squirrel away money that we can put towards that, I think it proves to the taxpayers we're trying to be fiscally responsible.
The other thing I dare say is that, you know, we are a community of have and have-nots to some extent, right? So like, and you have a path for folks who might struggle a little bit more making the fee. You have an avenue for that. So you could potentially go up here or there with cost to squirrel away, because you know the majority of people could afford that extra $5 or $10 on the cost, because it's not like you don't have a way to otherwise include everyone. Like you do have the inclusive ability. And maybe it's just making sure we outline that in a more forward-facing way. But if you were to increase prices, maybe that's, you have two forms of messaging.
To what extent are you looking at comparable leagues, towns, when you price out beginner and intermediate? I mean, it's not a lot of competition, I would imagine, for like beginner stuff, but maybe a little bit. But certainly for the intermediate, to what extent are you looking at like what this league charges, what this town charges? Because the other thing is, if you go up too much, then expectations go up with it. Right. And now it's like, wait, we practice once a week and we have one game and our ref's a 15-year-old because for $10 more. So there's also some calculus there involved.
Yeah. Sure, perceived value,
right,
and market rates. We all constantly look and are researching what everyone else is charging, knowing that we can't offer swim lessons at the same rate as Portsmouth because we don't have the same subsidy level that they do.
Right.
but we're also not going to charge as much as UNH does because we don't have to make back as much. So that's a swim lesson example. But yes, we try to stay competitive and affordable within like our rec realm. Like I'm never going to charge as much as a Seacoast United because we're not offering a Seacoast United program. I don't pay my coaches. They're all volunteers.
Right.
If that helps answer that question.
Yeah, and so then it's just about doing enough of the things up top to subsidize the rest of it and not do too much of what's on top, to Melissa's point, where you lose sight of the mission. So that's the
Well
balancing act.
said.
Yeah, it's a balancing act, sure.
And that's what, I guess, going back to the cost, overhead cost, that's having a valued partner like the Key Collective, which is doing the legwork for us, so we don't have to vet those families that need assistance. And could we get to a point where we can absorb them all? Possibly, but I think that's creative pricing, because we don't want to ever, like if someone said, hey, you want to spend an extra $2 knowing that you're going to give another kid a scholarship, most people would say yes.
And I will say I have seen an uptick in scholarship requests the last few years, and this year we already have more requests than last year for summer camp. And the school is also amazing, and they provide a lot of scholarships for kids as well, and they're sending more kids than they have the last 2 years. So thank you to all of our community partners who allow us to send so many kids to camp and give a lot of these kids awesome activities outside of school.
So I don't know if fee structure's on the agenda. I don't know if we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of that, but just looking at this fall soccer as example, resident rate $70, non-resident rate $80. Just throwing it out there, top of my head. To me, if you went to resident rate of 80 and non-resident rate of 100, it's still a great value. And to Greg's point, if you had in registration as an option, will you give $10 towards a scholarship for someone who needs it? I don't know if, I would think that's pretty easy
It is.
to set up on registration.
Yeah, you know, it's a really compelling statement too, is like, hey, if we were to only get, 'cause let's say it's $80, if we get 8 of you to give $10, we've now sponsored a child to be able to do soccer. Like, sometimes
Yeah.
there's like really creative ways. 16 of you do $5, and all of a sudden you have 30 people who've clicked the $5 mark.
But, I mean, just the top of my head, I look at
Yeah.
$70 for soccer. I can't remember how many games, at least a
We do
dozen games, probably.
We do a 6-week season, so
So,
yeah.
Do you have a,
but you get a T-shirt and you get the
You get a
camaraderie.
shirt, yeah.
Parents
Their
love it.
jerseys, they're moisture wicking.
do you have a fee,
Reversible.
do you have a fee schedule on when you increase fees? Like, do you guys say every 2 years we review and increase our fees? Do you have like a plan for that?
We currently don't, but I'm constantly reviewing my cost of total cost of service. So, for instance, I had to go up on T-ball because
I see what you're saying, yeah.
like the cost of the pants went up. So
Yeah.
then it was like, oh my gosh, like
I think it would be very difficult if we did it in like 3-year chunks, because the
Yeah.
volatility of like the consumables
Yeah.
are it's still like all right, I'll give you an example. The price of chlorine keeps going up year after year.
And availability and all of the things, yeah.
So I mean, it's tough if we are like, oh well, no, we're not. We examine and look what.
Got it.
I just think we're all accustomed to the fact that the cost of everything is going up very quickly. And the incremental increase on these costs versus what you get back, I've said this before in these meetings, I don't think we should be shy. You know, I mean, people are spending $10 a day on coffee. So.
Yeah, I think last year when we change the fees for some of the field usage. We had discussed that of, is there a year-over-year increase that we should look at? I think you looked at kind of the 3-year chunks. I'm curious as to what was the effect, now that we're looking at it, afterwards, of raising some of the fees. Was there less volume? Was there any pushback? Or did it go as planned pretty smoothly? And
I would say in general, there was no pushback whatsoever. Because they realized what we were doing is reinvesting back into those playing surfaces to make it a more playable thing.
Right.
To hear the soccer folks say, have the opposing team come and say, this is the best maintained field, because with the robots mowing it at 2.5 every day, like people are like, how do you do it? And it's really, that's where it comes back to, like, they realize we're not just asking them and then giving it to the general fund. It's being reinvested back in there. So everyone's bought in pretty much. And surprisingly, those that can do Tier 4 didn't even blink. Seacoast United rents the soccer fields twice a year for the whole weekend, and it's a large chunk of change.
Okay.
And a Saturday morning, beginner soccer morning at the rec park, it's just so fun.
It should be the slogan.
It's so fun.
Just so fun.
It's just so fun.
Freezing in the dew.
Memories last forever. That's our slogan, really.
I think Mike has a good point. So since you guys know the numbers and the volume really well in terms of which programs have the most, and I think Dan was talking about quality versus quantity, have the most enrollment and the best return on investment, do you think that the areas where we can make the most progress is tweaking existing fees and numbers, or it's increasing the quantity of revenue, about heads per program or new programs, given the capacity that you guys can manage right now? I mean, obviously it's probably a bit of both, but should we be looking more at tweaking numbers, or is it more of like increasing turnout in new programs? And so in your opinion, knowing all the numbers, what would you guys say?
Well, I would want to add a third option to that, like finding another powder keg, right? Like, is there a one thing where we can keep all of that the same, cheap, affordable, and happening all the time, with like one more of those big cost recovery events?
Wine festival. Seriously.
I think, Nick, to answer you, it's kind of both. We're going to tweak the programs as we need to make sure we meet that cost recovery, but now that we have this beautiful multi-generational community center, how can we increase programming where they're at capacity as well? So, I mean, it could be inventive ways where, we come up with something that generates a lot of revenue that would help maybe offset some staffing costs. Because David and Caroline do a tremendous amount of programming. So,
I'm surprised you guys can handle the amount of programs you have right now, but I'm assuming you know exactly what the capacity is in terms of there's only so many hours in the day, and you have, only so many resources to coordinate so many programs. So, okay. No, I think that's helpful to know. I do like the idea of another powder keg. I heard.
Well, I'm just the reason I say that is to exactly your point, is like there is actually only so many hours in the day and so many opportunities that you guys can program. Whereas, can you make that money with one other smaller thing that maybe takes a ton of work, but it's like it's not the same over time.
And we partner up with someone too, so that helps to absorb some of the burden on that.
What did you say before that, Steph? Was it a wine festival? What did you?
Either a wine festival. I mean, I love the truck, food truck festival. They already do it in Stratham, but I love that idea. I mean, it might be a good thing to do another one too at a different time of year, because it does really well. But I mean, a wine festival would be great. It'd be a lot of fun. I think it'd be different. I think we could pull in quite a few different wineries in the area. We have a lot of wineries in the area in New England that.
Wine and cheese.
Yes, wine and cheese.
And one thing I'll just throw out there as a nugget is an agricultural festival.
Ooh.
Because when Stratham's changed their model for the Stratham Fair,
Yeah.
they've kind of gone away from that agricultural. So there is a
Yeah.
And
an
wine,
issue there.
cheese, all agricultural,
Wine, cheese, and
cows.
right?
You know, we could
Farm
have those.
festival.
Grapes,
Yes.
agricultural.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, there definitely is a possibility, but again, it comes down to capacity of
Right.
our staffing.
Right.
We should wrap up this portion.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all. I mean, this definitely helps us giving us some direction as far as like programming, also like how we structure fees, how the board feels on these service categories. So thank you all for doing the
This is
exercise.
excellent education
Yeah.
about
That's great.
how you guys operate, so thank you for putting all of this together.
My pleasure.
So into recaps?
Yeah.
Ready to move on to recaps?
Yes.
All right, winter programming? You have 5 minutes.
I'll start first.
You turn into a pumpkin.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, I mean, we have been doing a lot of programming in the new space. We've recently, for senior programs, rolled out a senior soiree, dancing through the decades at the Rockingham Ballroom. So we're really excited about that. It's going to be a night of dancing. Lori, our senior coordinator, is also a wedding DJ on the side, so she'll be our DJ. We're going to have a catered buffet. The food's going to be great. If any of you haven't been in the Rockingham Ballroom, it's like stepping into a time machine. It's really fun. So we're really excited about that. That's sort of like one of our big senior events coming up. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the programs that we kind of talked about in like these different service categories, like beginner activities, so like the sourdough making, or we just rolled out a couple new yoga programs, so we now have one in the evenings. We only had chair yoga before, so now these are like gentle yoga without a chair, and evening mind-body yoga too. So just trying to offer like a variety of different programs for everyone, some arts and crafts programs. Last Friday we had a Winter Olympics themed, it was trivia. We showed a movie in the upstairs large room, had some pizza from Exeter bowling lanes. It was just a fun afternoon celebrating the Olympics and all of that. So yeah, programming's been busy. That's all I can say. Lori's been busy. I've been busy for like the adult and senior stuff, and I know Caroline's been really busy too.
Yeah, basketball is wrapping up this weekend, so all of our teams, all of our basketball programs end this weekend, and we've had a fantastic showing of our Exeter teams in our travel league. I haven't had teams make it this far in the playoffs in previous years, so it's very exciting to see that we have two of our teams advancing to semifinals this weekend, and we even have a home game, so that's really exciting. Our gunstock program wrapped up. That was another fantastic season with gunstock, and it's such a great deal. So again, if you didn't know about our gunstock program, you can get sign up for lessons and a season pass at a very steep discount, and that registration opens in like September. So it's always a good program if you like to get out on the mountain or want to learn how to ski or snowboard. Yeah, and we've got Galentine's Day coming up on Friday, so that'll be a nice little tea and dessert tasting for some gals in town. And then we've got next week we have our senior luncheon on Thursday, and on Friday we have the Sweethearts Dance. So that we do every year, and we're super excited for another year of the Sweethearts Dance.
If anyone's available that night too, you're always welcome to come
Yes.
join us, help out.
What's the date?
The
February
20th. Wow, I can't read a calendar. And I want to say our walking program has been booming.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, Phillips Exeter Indoor Track. So we want to just shout out to them. Thank you for for opening your doors to the community. We have on average 40, 50 people walking.
Oh, wow.
Both days. It's incredible. I mean, with this winter that we've had, it's been great. Socialization, getting exercise, it's wonderful. And today, actually, shout out PEA as well, they brought over some very talented musicians next door to the town hall, and we had a free community concert. We'll definitely be doing that again with them. That was really nice.
Incredible.
Yeah, great partnership with them.
Yeah.
I
bring summer update or still
Sure.
winter?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, ready to go to spring and summer. For spring, we're going to have definitely 5, if not 6 sports, just waiting to hear back about tennis. But we've got t-ball, soccer, track, field hockey, lacrosse, and hopefully tennis, just waiting on an instructor. So that's going to be wonderful. And registration for spring sports actually opens on Tuesday. So this coming Tuesday is when spring sports registration opens. And we'll get the tennis information up once we have confirmation from USTA. And then just on the youth side for summer programs, camp registration opened and it's going great. We've already got a lot of grades full. Teen camp is the most kids we've ever had in teen camp. I have just shy of 40 kids in teen camp. So full on teen camp, full on grade 7, full on grade 6, full on grade 2. So numbers are looking great. Super excited, and I have 27 returning staff members, which is
That's great.
Right?
yeah, I'm super excited about that. So it's really awesome. Yeah. Sadly, we do not have any junior counselor positions available because of how many returning staff we have.
Yeah. A lot of returning staff too on the pool and concession side as well. So we're looking great for this summer. Swim lesson registration opens on March 9th for residents and March 16th for non-residents. So that information is going to be posted soon, and it's going to be going out in our email campaign as well, all that information.
Can I ask a question about swim lessons and camp? Have you ever considered, and I don't know what the logistics is, that if a camper registers for a swim, they all go down at one time instead of 2 go down at 9 and then another comes at 9:45, and so it just is less impactful on your programs that are happening and your games that are happening? Just a thought, like.
It would be really nice, but there's different capacities for different levels, and then kids in different grade groups might be at, one might be at a level 1, one might be at a level 4. So we don't offer all of the levels at the same time,
okay,
which
that
is
makes
what makes
sense.
it hard.
Okay,
Yes,
that makes
yes.
sense.
In a perfect world, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, moving on to trips.
Yep. So we opened up the Tall Ships coach bus trip down to Boston as part of the 250th celebrations. That trip filled up within, I think, 2 or 3 days. We were not expecting to fill a
Awesome.
coach bus that quickly. Unfortunately, we aren't able to get a second coach bus, or else we would. But still waiting to hear back if we could get like 15 to 30 additional spots and use our own vehicles to go down for that day. So yeah, that trip, very popular. We have a few more trips that are planned around the 250th, historical trips and such. But we have a lot of great trips coming on. I mean, Lori's doing a great job with scheduling. Today, they went to the Courier Museum. Luckily, the roads were okay. So yeah, lots of trips. A lot of variety that we're offering, also different pricing, back to our exercise earlier, but we want to offer, not only with trips, but like all of our programs, is like things that are affordable, and then like, you know, a good variety of all that stuff too, but especially with trips, because they are mostly older adults, and I think that's about it on trip updates.
Park projects?
Yeah, this cold winter has been a challenge to start wrapping up the concession bathhouse. So in your packet, there's two things. We're just give you an update. Scott and Chad, our parks guys, are moving as fast as they can through this. You only can warm up a cement block building so much before your toes and your fingers go numb. So the men's bathroom is almost completed, and they're going to be moving off to the women's bathroom. But the concession is what we're really most excited about. As we mentioned, one of the things that we're looking to do this year is put in a mini split system in the concession, not only for our staff safety, but also our equipment. Freezers and ice machines are not supposed to work when it's 95 degrees in a room, which anyone knows the Dan Healy Pool is an open air building. So it became some challenges. We got 3 quotes for a mini split system, but we're looking at it as a positive where it actually also can provide heat. So we're looking at maybe offering shoulder seasons to softball and soccer once it's completed down the line, to allow them to actually utilize it as a concession for their games as well. There's a variety. We are going to recommend and looking for a motion from you guys to then go to the board is going with, sorry.
It's just, it's not in the packet. It's in the email that you sent
It was
out,
in the email I sent out.
but not in the
Not in
paper
the
packet.
financial
Is it the flooring?
sustainability. It is
No, the flooring's done.
Okay.
I think it's
No.
the ceiling and the,
ceiling and the HVAC. MCP HVAC for $8,600. They're the ones that put the HVAC system in at 10 Hampton Road. We're looking to put in exactly the same kind of equipment, so it's conformity throughout all of it, so it's one vendor, one maintaining. But they are obviously the cheapest too, so. And there's energy credits that we'll be able to get towards it, so we'll be able to get some incentives back.
That's a mini split heat pump for the pool?
Correct, yes. So if,
I would make a motion to, I don't have it in front of me. I would make a motion to authorize Parks and Recreation Department to proceed with submitting the HVAC installation proposal from MCP HVAC for $8,608.75 to the Select Board for approval and to further utilize the Recreation Revolving Fund to finance these improvements.
I'll second that.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Dan?
Dan Provost, I'm in favor. Aye.
Bryn Sullivan, aye.
Mike Whistler, aye.
Jen Harrington, aye.
Nick Norton, aye.
Stephanie Pepperpost, aye.
Bob Dudra, aye.
All right, passes. That motion passes.
Thank you, and
Unanimously.
you may question why the rec revolving fund, obviously without the park improvement fund, we don't have it, but we look at this as a way, we're investing in the facility, and the fees are gonna eventually, the return on investment. So, nicer facilities, nicer things. But in challenging being an open air building, all HVACs, like you need to close off the soffits and you need to close off the vents on the roof. We brought Doug Eastman in for his technical experience, and he and I had the same, like, we're putting a drop ceiling in the concession area to maintain the coolness down while keeping the roof line vented. So it's gonna be and it's gonna provide a more sanitary environment to serve food, because Jen can attest, on windstorms, dust and debris fly in, and so we're always wiping things down. So again, this is actually, our goal is to become more surf safe. We are surf safe compliant, but it's just another step forward. We got 3 quotes, as you can see, if you saw. Honorable Dimensions, they are, I don't forget, they're $1,975 to have a 2x2 acoustic. We're going with a 2x2 acoustic ceiling because that's what's in our building now at 10 Hampton Road. Again, conformity, get the tiles in stock, so if something goes wrong in one of them, we can easily replace it. They can be in here next week if we wanted them to, so, which we still gotta go to the board, not going to the board this next Tuesday, but one in February.
I will preface my motion with, I know the owner of Honorable Dimensions, and I've worked with their company, and they're very good. I make a motion to authorize Parks and Recreation Department to proceed with submitting the drop ceiling installation by Honorable Dimensions LLC for $1,975 to the Select Board for approval, and to further utilize the Recreation Revolving Fund to finance these improvements.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second from Bren. Vote, Dan?
Dan Provost, aye.
Bryn Sullivan, aye.
Mike Whistler, aye.
Jen Harrington, aye.
Nick Norden, aye.
Stephanie Pepikos, aye.
Bob Dudra, aye.
All right, that motion also passes unanimously.
Next is to give you an update. We do have a small percentage of park improvement fund that we do have left. I was in last fall or summer with the select board. We had waited on the rubberized. The prices have gone up considerably, talking about consumables going up, but they just rolled out a new similar product that looks and mimics epoxy, but it's rubber. And so the picture I had that I emailed out, this is the exact pattern that we have in the bathhouse now. So we're gonna match the spray pad with the bathhouse interior floor and have it like that color. Not only is this great, and it'll provide that nice cushion, but it'll be you won't see the blemishes from when we tore up the the spray pad. So it's a better product. We are gonna spend a little bit more than initially we had thought, but if we're gonna do it, we should do it right. One of the things I think is it's gonna look great, and if this is successful, one of the things we could do, talking about forecasting down about like the pool deck does need to be addressed. This could be a solution for us to address the entire pool deck down the line and give it a soft surfacing that will look attractive, because certain pools, tearing up the pool deck can be a nightmare and costly because concrete is very expensive. So just a way to save cost while being able to do this internally as well. So we can do all of this ourselves.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. All right, moving on to new business.
Oh, one more.
Oh, sorry.
If you could give me a motion first, though. Submit 10 kits of the rubber flake from Rubberize It for $8,900 to the select board, and same time I go
I can't.
I would like to make a motion to authorize the Parks and Rec Department to proceed with submitting the purchase of the 10 kits of rubberized flakes from Rubberize It for $8,900 to the Select Board for approval, and to further utilize the Parks Improvement Fund to finance these improvements.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Dan Provost, aye.
Bryn Sullivan, aye.
Mike Whistler, aye.
Jen Harrington, aye.
Nick Norden, aye.
Stephanie Pepikos, aye.
Bob Dudra, aye.
All right. Also passes unanimously.
And lastly, one last project pertaining to the rec park. Anyone that utilized it realizes when the irrigation system was put in, it initially had been put in to service 2 soccer fields. So there's a big swath in the middle that has no irrigation. Up until just recently, there was not the technology that, without damaging the existing irrigation system, to add another zone. Because obviously we don't know where all the wires are and all the pipes are, and trenching it would be a nightmare. For $3,200, we can purchase a new irrigation clock that is Bluetooth enabled, and now we can have zone valves that are Bluetooth enabled, doing away with the wires. So now we'll be able to add a zone there. Last year we had to overseed it twice because of that drought we were in. This would now prevent that, and so we would actually be able to shift fields a little bit more, because we never wanted to put a playing surface over that area because it was dead as a doornail. So if you guys are in agreement, this would be a no-brainer, and that would cap all of our park projects now for the rest of the year, so.
Is that Bluetooth system just on the new zone, or is it retrofitting the old zones?
It's, no, just on the new zone, but it would allow us, because there is another area on the rec field that we will need to address down the line. The hillside, obviously, if anyone knows, there's a sinkhole or depression, but we could eventually expand that hillside out a little bit more, giving Field 1 more of a left field. So we could put another irrigation line there, which will enable us to just have further, move fields better, so. Yeah, the technology for irrigation clocks are not only they're Bluetooth, but they're Wi-Fi enabled, so you literally can look at your phone and see what zone is going off.
All right, so you need a motion.
That's correct.
All right. I would like to make a motion to authorize the Parks and Rec Department to proceed with submitting the irrigation upgrade by Days Irrigation for $3,200 to the Select Board for approval and to further utilize the Parks Improvement Fund to finance these improvements.
We have a motion? We have a second?
Second.
All right.
Point of order. If everyone's present, do we have to vote individually, or can we vote as a group?
You can vote, it's up to the chair. It
I
can
think
be
we should vote
It can
individually.
be a group vote.
Oh, I thought-
Only if there's somebody on Zoom.
That's why I was asking. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we had always, oh,
Only through Zoom.
No, but I do know the minute takers have liked to hear who made the motion.
I'm
No,
just-
yeah.
The
Yeah.
procedure is
Yeah.
you can do it as a group, and then you would just say it on unanimously.
Or all in
And there
favor?
you know who's here, so.
Okay.
But if you do it as roll call, saying your name first is helpful for the person taking your meeting minutes, because the camera doesn't always
Got it.
know who's speaking.
all right. Well, then we'll go for a group vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nobody opposed, unanimously.
Can I make a comment? How the heck does that work? Bluetooth irrigation.
Oh. That's a conversation for after the meeting.
All right, new business?
New/old. In speaking with Melissa, like I mentioned earlier, we should look to schedule, I know we had gone to 4 meetings, but just a budget-only meeting in August before the budget is due to the town manager's office. Just to review, we did this whole analysis right now tonight, so obviously now you're more apprised of how we're pricing things. So we'll review the rec revolving fund, and we'll review the general fund budget request. And any CIPs due earlier, but that's a whole nother thing. We'll talk about that in June's meeting.
So I have the next meeting as May 13th,
All
that
right,
we
May.
decided on last meeting. Do you want to keep that meeting or
Keep-
move it to
No,
June?
keep
You want
that
an additional
and do-
meeting?
And do an August meeting. I know, what's
Oh, an
the
August
September, what's the
meeting.
September meeting?
September 16th.
Yeah, if we can do it late July, early August, if people are amendable to
Okay.
that. Just because we get our budget instructions June-ish, in the middle of June, like,
Okay.
and then we start putting our budget together and sitting down, and they're due middle of August.
So are you looking for us to pick a date tonight?
We could pick one at the May meeting.
Yeah, I think, just
Or
keep that in
now,
mind.
yeah.
It's up to you guys.
Point of order question. If it's all just informational, is it possible to zoom in on meetings if we don't need a motion with a vote?
We need a physical quorum. in
You need
the
a
room.
physical quorum. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And one comment I want to make about gun stock. This is my 4th year with my youngest son, his last year. And anybody out there that hasn't taken advantage of it, do it. It's a great deal. And it's a good mountain and a great value.
So we're not picking a meeting date right now.
It's your call.
Do you, what do people want?
When's our May meeting?
Our May meeting is May 13th.
May 13th.
Do we want to do the when do we meet? The 4th
So
of the month? The 4th?
When we picked our
Wednesday.
meetings last, in the December meeting, we just looked at what we thought was best. We stuck with Wednesdays, but
Yeah.
it's not always the 4th any longer, because May 13th
Oh,
is
yeah, that's right. We picked
4th.
them.
We just said, we were thinking quarterly.
Then we
and-
added a few strategic
Yeah,
ones.
which has worked because we have a full, the full board is here, which was the whole intent behind minimizing our meetings. So, I mean, we can wait. I just want to,
When is our
September,
fall quarter meeting?
the fall one
September
is
16th.
September 16th.
So we would potentially be planning for in August?
In August, they said in
Or
August.
late July.
July 29th or August 5th if we keep with Wednesdays.
I'll know more by May 13th.
Yeah, why don't we then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just
We could
look on your
come to
calendars.
May's meeting
With a
a better sense of our summer schedules.
Awesome.
and we will try to keep it very brief, coming in, reviewing. If you want to make amendments to it or suggestions, that's your time, and then I submit it to the town manager's office.
All right. Any
And-
other?
And at our next meeting in May, we will have a draft proposal of our building rental rates too. Now being in the new space, we haven't adjusted building rental rates in a while.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Great.
it's kind of all part of the whole
Love that.
financial sustainability that we
We'll come
got
to
going
you,
on here.
You'll agree upon it, then ultimately the select board is the one that actually sets the
Right.
building rates.
May I ask preliminarily, do you have a resident versus non-resident room rental rate?
Yes.
Right, yeah. We have like resident,
just asked as a-
nonprofit,
as I-
resident
I can
for-profit,
show it
yeah.
Okay. Oh, similar to your field
Yes.
rental
Yes,
structure.
yes.
Yeah.
We want to,
Okay.
yeah, kind of move in towards that direction,
Correct, yeah.
just
Got
like
it.
we did with the field. It'll
Fantastic.
be the similar process,
Perfect.
yeah.
Yep, I was just curious. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other old business?
I'll be going on maternity leave sometime in April, so. Won't see you in May.
For the very best reason possible.
Yes.
Then-
And I think Caroline needs a
Nameplate.
Yes, Pam and Bim was notified, so hopefully I'll follow up with her.
Excellent. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
You don't have to vote to adjourn.
I don't? Okay.
Public
Okay.
and government.
About.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show,